I'm going to start with addressing those issues that I mentioned before with one kitchen remodeling. I put the floor plans one on the side of the other one so we can see that the existing kitchen used to have a pantry and a small closet, a refrigerator in the middle of the kitchen, and then a wall here separating the dining room with a kitchen for just a small door opening. Without doing an addition, they asked me, what do you think that we can do with this space? Because they wanted to update it. It wasn't, they had old cabinets. And so we decided to open this wall, open it to the dining room, and then take the space of the pantry and this small closet and the refrigerator and remove this from here. That allows us to create these two working walls, as I call them, and enough space for the central island. The other intention was to keep like a nook, a small nook area for them to eat every day, and opening up the kitchen to the small deck that here it has a small door. So with this double door, we were able to open, and this is south, and they have a very nice tree on the back of the deck. So that was the ideal situation because they are deciduous trees, so they have the sun. During the winter, it's a very nice, it's the nicest spot of the house to just hang out there with the sun. And then in the summer, they have the shade of the tree, so they can even, with the nice weather, the fall and the spring, they can just leave the doors open, and they have a very nice breeze here, and they have the view of the back deck. So this is the wall that I was mentioning before, the wall between the dining and the kitchen, and this is the view of the refrigerator, but it was a view from the dining. So the idea was, as I mentioned, to open this wall and then created two kitchen working walls with the central island. And this is the view from now from the dining. And it was snowing that day, the day that I took the picture, so this is why we see the snow all the way around. So the view there, and this is the end of the nook. And then, which is from the kitchen, this is the view of that wall and the refrigerator. So we remove that, open it up, and put the refrigerator to the side. And so the result is the open view from the kitchen to the dining area. The criteria that I mentioned, the design criteria that I mentioned before, applies for this small kitchen remodeling that it doesn't include an addition, so it was the same space that we had, we reconfigured. But the variables of beauty and functionality are there. And then health is there because all the finishes, there are no VOCs on the finish of the hardwood floor. All the cabinets, they don't have VOCs, also formaldehyde. The counters have recyclable content. And all the paints, no VOCs. So all the decisions that we made, they are based on the same design criteria that I mentioned before. This is the other end of the spectrum. So we can go from consulting on a small remodeling project or a kitchen remodeling to a whole house renovation. This is a project in Clarendon that starts as a flat roof, one-story stucco colonial. There is a clusters of this unit near the Clarendon Metro. The homeowners love this site. They love the neighborhood. They don't want to move, but they didn't know what to do with the house because it needed to be updated from the 1920s. So through the design process, we were looking at the options, and I gave them less expensive, looking at the budget, the lower budget, and the solution, the higher budget, and the solution. And when they saw the potential of the property, and they also looked for what were the other options that they were having, moving to maybe an existing home, because they didn't want to move to farther away to a new home. But it had to be a remodeled home offered, on the real estate market, they looked and they couldn't find something that really fits them. And they start thinking about, okay, what happens if we remodel our own house or do an addition, which is what we need. And finally, it makes sense budget-wise for them and to really do the whole house remodeling. So this is why we add the second story and we remodel the whole house. And today I wanted to concentrate on the kitchen, because that's how this project started. They had a very old kitchen and they needed to update it. And in order to update it, they were debating, okay, do we do the kitchen now and then we do the rest later? Or do we do our master plan and just look for the whole improvement? And the decision was, since they realized that they needed the second story. When the family was growing, they needed more bedrooms on the second story. Keep the same floor plan, the same footprint of the main floor, of the first floor. And then what do we do with the kitchen? So I gave them the options of relocating the small staircase that it was down from the first main floor down to the basement. So since we were adding a second story, I needed to have a staircase to go from the main floor to the second story anyways. So I relocate this on the opposite side of the kitchen. You are going to see the pictures. And then I use the space of this small staircase and the pantry to recover. It's about 10 by 15. And then we redesigned the kitchen with an L-shaped corner for the work, mainly the main triangle, and then an additional sink and the sitting area, opening up this wall to the dining area and moving this and connecting it with the family room. This is the kitchen looking from the family room. So this is the L-shaped working counter area, and this is the additional sink with the counter, and the opening to the dining. Over there we can see the kitchen from the dining, and then on the opposite side is the staircase. So I was able to keep a nice natural ventilation strategy from the staircase window and the kitchen window, which gives it nice breezes when the weather permits. And this is a view of the existing old kitchen and the opening between the kitchen and the dining, the old opening, and the small staircase going down to the basement. So I just wanted to give you an idea about the same criteria, the same design criteria that I mentioned before, where I consider the health variables related to indoor air quality, and then the materials. I try to decide on durable and low-maintenance materials, and then the waste management program during the construction, and then the water saving strategies, and the energy strategies, including the envelope and the systems. The envelope with the insulation, which is the main element, and the system with the HVAC, including the heat recovery ventilator, which is a very interesting piece of information in order to keep the fresh air inside the house. And then the lessons learned that I wanted to point are the very important piece, which is the building science or building science consulting or the energy audit. The preliminary budget considering the low and the high and showing the potential. So then the homeowner decide which one is the appropriate decision to make. Green specifications is another key. As clear the green specifications are, it will be easier just to go forward with the choosing the materials. And then quality construction control that I already mentioned with the green certification. House manual, looking at how nature works and the house works with nature. And then the energy bill analysis of 1 year before and 1 year after renovation, talking about whole house renovation. These are some references to the Arlington Green Home Choice Program that I mentioned that is free. Energy Start is part of the Arlington requirement right now, and the Earthcraft, the program that I mentioned. LEED homes right now is only for new homes, so it doesn't include retrofit. And then this is where we are going, which is the passive house standard and architecture 2030, which is how we are going to address the future on energy. Thank you.